Hello everyone, this is Briarsenal and welcome to Wolves on the Westwind. This is an RPG game that I picked up off Steam and that was on sale. And it looks pretty interesting. I haven't done a lot of these choose your own adventure games, and given that my channel is all about taking you guys on adventures, I'm trying to make sure every video game that I'm playing meets that criteria. And this one seems to, so... Alright. Okay, cool. So I have two options. I can play as... Alright. We're gonna play as the guy, because I am man. I am Ulrich Durinald, a weathered mercenary from Andergast who has wasted his life away fighting other people's battles, who came north to Thorwall, protecting a Austrian trader who was on his way to important talks with the Dutch. Eastleaf fell. Wolfgar, Briarsenal. Battles influence earlier allows him to pick up on things others might miss, allowing him to spot weaknesses in combat opponents and find hidden advantages in many situations. This ability allows me to strike back with an overwhelmingly strong blow to knock opponents back, take them by surprise, and to get through a variety of obstacles. Sure. Hear the twang of the bowstring and enough time to throw the traitor you're escorting into cover. He leaves behind the bush in blind panic as you skitter around a nearby tree to keep watch. This road was supposed to be safe, I had it guaranteed. It's going to be fine. Just let me do my job. Alright. Now let's see. Let's fend the bandits off from the start, at least. You need to go as quickly as you can, I'll fend them off. Because if we bolt for it, we're not going to have the cart to protect us anymore. Okay. Let's go ahead and let's start with the forceful blow. Quickly, you focus all of your parts into a kick at the cart's rear wheel that makes the wood creak and crack. Wait for the bandits to close in before kicking out again so the cart's axle buckles and gets away. One of the bandits shrieks in surprise as he's hit square in the head with the barrel. The second slows as another rolls toward him. The resulting confusion gives you enough of a chance to dodge away and escape. And so you run. You can already see Jossold ahead, flailing about as he struggles to keep up any kind of pace. So focused are you on your escape that you don't even notice the town now clearly visible ahead. It's only when the first arrow sails past you in the other direction that you really focus on the palisade. People are now racing out of town towards you, all well armed and well armored. Let's join the fight. As the road becomes a palisade and the bandits become a hail of arrows, you see Jossold look back towards you. I tell him to go. You feel a swell of confidence as cries ring out across the plains. These are the numbers you need for a fair fight. The real danger had passed. Against all odds, you've actually made it to safety. It's not a long fight, and those who were chasing you quickly routed by the town's defenders. Ask you many questions about the chase as they invite you into town proper. You can finally rest for a while, laying down your burdens until morning comes. It's a cold but bright sun that rises over the thatched roofs of Eastleaf to greet you the next day. Even after years of training and experience, you still feel the aches and pains of your trials and tribulations. A gentle breeze tugs at your clothes, and the smell of salt on the air helps to keep you sharp. And the town wakes up around you as though nothing had ever happened. People open up their shops and services for the day. Seagulls call overhead. Over the din, you hear the blowing of bellows and the blowing of bellows and the pounding of a hammer against steel as a blacksmith gets to work. I wasn't expecting to be narrating all this, guys. Outlander. No sooner have you stopped on a market stand of freshly baked loaves and buns, do you hear her call? You immediately recognize her as one of the warriors who came to your rescue at the palisade. Amongst the rest of the townsfolk, she stands out in a dress much richer and brighter in color. Estrid Ulfgar's daughter, who you met briefly last night. Good morning. I'm glad to meet you properly this time. Indeed, let me be the first to give you a proper welcome to Islipsfell. I can only apologize for the chaos of your arrival. It's hardly your fault. What can I do for you? Her brow furrows as she grimaces at you and becomes more serious. I'm afraid it's about the attack. My father wishes to speak to you about it. Come, you'll eat with us in the morning. It's the least we can do. Sure. She leads you further inland, jostling through the crowds as the town wakes up around you. I'll be honest with you, Outlander. This attack was quite troubling. We need to make sure nothing like that ever happens again if we can. We have a reputation to uphold. What about patrols? I noticed there weren't any patrols on the roads. She chuckles and gives you a wry smile as she massages the muscles in her hands. It's been a long time since any thought it necessary to protect our lands with patrols. My father has worked hard to make Islipsfell safe. Those who break our laws are met either with justice or retribution. One way or the other, it is quick, so most should know better than to ambush travelers here. That's what makes this attack so troubling. We must act quickly to find those responsible. Okay. Makes you slightly more uneasy as you continue up the gentle slope towards the Hetman's Hall. The fight had been over almost as soon as it had started. Many of your attackers had fled at the first sight of defending warriors. But those who had helped you had been quick to usher you away to a longhouse to rest and recover. They seemed a little on edge, but you thought it was simply due to the surprise of the attack. Now it seems that something larger was at work, and the Hetman wants to speak to you about it is concerning. The noise of the town only swells as its bustling streets awaken. As you climb upwards, everything starts to feel a little less cramped as the space between buildings grows. Soon you are in a wide open square, and Esther is beckoning you toward a great hall that stands ancient and resolute before you. He pushes the huge double door to the hall open without knocking or waiting. You're slightly taken aback by the sheer scale of the room you step into. Long benches flank the path to the Hetman's table, and huge chandeliers hang from the rafters. A handful of trophies are placed on the walls, a reminder of the triumph of those who have ruled in Islipsfell. The air is stale and reeks of food, fire, and sweat. Father, I found our guest. Estrid leads you to the table that sits at the back of the hall, positioned so that even those sat there can watch over everyone. The Hetman looks up from his conversation at his daughter's call and quickly stands up as you approach. He greets you warmly and heartily, with arms wide and a smile to match, bowing his head in your direction. Well met, Outlander. In Swafnir and Travia's names, you are most welcome here. Thank you for joining us this morning. Please sit, take your fill of food and drink. A wide spread of meats, fish, and breads covers the center square of the table, in easy reach of Hetman and his family. Thank you, Hetman. It is a pleasure to be seated with you. Ulfgar waves a dismissive hand at your comment as you walk up the small set of stairs towards his table. It is only what's due, Outlander. Please, sit. Come, we must get to business. This is Brand. He's the town's goatee and has been an advisor to the Het person for many decades now. He indicates an older, near-decrepit man in a heavy bundle of robes who sits and eats at the end of the table. Brand gives you a long side glance that immediately unnerves you, but he says nothing and continues chewing. Without wasting another breath, the Hetman moves on to introduce the other younger man at the table. I believe you met my youngest, Raskir? I have. Raskir nods at you curtly as he throws a bite of bread into his mouth and picks up a tankard to drink from. Once again, he seems to look you up and down before he leans across the table to give you a strong handshake. Thank you again for escorting the Austrian trader to our town. I'm sorry it wasn't as simple as suggested. The whole thing is rather troubling. You seem upset by this. Forgive my saying so, but you seem more upset by this than I'd expect. Raskir chuckles before taking a sip from his tankard and reaching forward to rip a handful of bread from the loaf. Do you know what it means to be peaceless, Outlander? I don't, no. To be peaceless is the worst punishment a Thorwaller can face. It is the punishment we give to those who have committed terrible, terrible crimes. They are ashamed to their ancestors and been stripped of all honor they had and can ever have. They will never find peace with the gods. They will never fight at Swafnir's side or drink at Travea's table. That is why the peaceless are scorned, hiding amongst themselves on the old port stones. For them to return in force to the mainland makes no sense. But if a group of them have, then they are a grave danger and we must deal with them. An uncomfortable silence falls on the hall while you process what Raskier said. Out of it, the hetman it is the hetman that clears his throat to speak up, talking to you over his drink. I've called you here for your help, Outlander. You have already proven that you are a capable fighter. You could be of great help to us once again, and my son is right. We must deal with the peaceless. Today he and Estrid will head out to find those that remain and end the threat before they can strike again. I'd like you to join them. Just the three of us? Really? There's quite a number that attacked us, and still a fair few that fled when it was over. Wouldn't it be better to send a larger group of warriors if you hope to defeat them? A band like this would simply turn and run at the sight of an army of Thorwallian warriors coming to meet them. If everything goes according to plan, a smaller group can catch them off guard. And besides, I've seen you fight. Together we're more than good enough to defeat these wretches. With the room falling quiet again, you can't help but notice the small niggling feeling in the back of your mind. You can't place it, but it only adds to the uneasiness that's been building in your chest all through the morning. I am happy to pay you, Outlander, if that's what it takes. And you're welcome to stay here as a guest for a while, at least, if that suits you. Of the three of them, Ulfgar is the only one who seems patient to await your answer. Estrid is at least trying to mask her own uneasiness, glancing up at you between small pickings of her food. Raskier, who makes no effort to hide the fact that he's on edge, staring at you over his meal. Something's wrong here. What aren't you telling me? In the same moment, Raskier rolls his eyes in frustration. Estrid sighs and rubs hers. The hetman quickly signals for them both to settle down, shifting his seat and placing a careful hand on the table. We aren't trying to deceive you, Outlander. There are things in motion that are beyond your control, Outlander. The stranger at the end of the table has been so quiet throughout the meal that you had forgotten he was there. Now, though, you look at him as he spits out a fishbone and glances across to you. Under his gaze, you feel the hair on the back of your neck stand on end. It is the will of the Runjas that you arrived here. If they had wished to keep you in Nostria, or anywhere in the south, they would have not brought you here. But here you are, so that you may aid us in this. The hetman did not wish for me to tell you. He thought you may doubt what the Runjas have revealed to us. One look back at the hetman tells you that he is feeling a measure of regret at the Godi's outburst, but again he awaits your response. What did they say? What did the Runjas tell you, exactly? That an unknown warrior would aid us in what is to come. Before you arrived, we did not understand what that meant, but then the peaceless chased you to our doorstep. The Runjas have revealed their will to us. I'm sorry that I wasn't more open with you until now. There's little more we can say now, Father. Either the Outlander will help us, or he won't. You are very conscious that three of them now await your final answer. As you sit in silent contemplation of his words, your eyes are drawn back across to the Godi. He has gone back to his own little world, chewing on some dried fish and staring off into some sort of peace. But you feel pressure building, left with very little time to think about your decision, especially as the hetman and his family have now all left their meals alone and are fully focused on you. Your mind teeters a little at the idea that your arrival at an Islifale was preordained. The gods have never struck you as particularly forthcoming with their plans, if they ever had any, but there's that niggling sensation again, chewing at the back of your mind. Are we agreed, Outlander? You sit stunned for a moment, then you are overwhelmed, and without realizing it, you nod just once. Just once. Agreed, hetman. I'll help where I can. Then your word is a pledge to me. There is no hint of his jovial nature now. He is grim and reserved as he nods. You should all prepare to leave as soon as possible. Good hunting. Okay. Very interesting. Save game. I feel like I'm going to have to prepare my narrating a little bit, but I think that's a very good intro to this game. Thank you everybody so much for tuning in. This is Briarsenal. I hope you all have a great and fantastic day, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.